Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast with your hosts Dodd Abernathy, Jeff Copsetta, and Henry Sledge.
Most certainly none of the Marine officers on Peleliu received their commissions by ballot, nor did the $21 monthly pay of the young volunteer Marine privates come from some individual's bank account. But the aging survivors of the old breed, officers and enlisted men alike, will tell you they would have gladly voted to decorate and promote one of Peleliu's officers to whatever level of command he thought he was qualified to fill. His name was Paul Douglas. He was a captain, possibly the oldest in Marine Corps history to serve in that rank in frontline combat. From beginning to end, his wartime career was unique. Douglas, a distinguished and nationally renowned 51-year-old professor of economics at the University of Chicago, when he refused a direct commission to volunteer as a private on May 15, 1942. It took the personal intervention of Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox, a longtime admirer and friend, for the Marine Corps to waive its age limit and rigid physical standards to allow the rail-thin, white-maned, bispeckled academic to join up. Not only that, but Douglas demanded that he undergo the same rigorous, dawn-to-dusk training as any other recruit in the pine forest and swamps of Parris Island. The young men, mostly robust, hot-to-trot teenagers, were astounded by the determination and endurance of, in the words of one of them, this strange and marvelous old man who never complained and did his job as good, sometimes better, than the rest of our platoon. He asked of no favors from the crusty drill instructors, and if anyone offered, he no doubt would have unhesitantly said, no thanks. To this day, no one else of Douglas's age has been accepted for Marine Corps recruit training, and is extremely doubtful that anyone accepted could make it through the brutal physical regimen, tough discipline, emotional stress, and purposely imposed hardships that were then, and still are, the trademarks of boot camp in the Corps. After proving to himself and countless doubters that he had the stuff to make a fighting Marine, Douglas accepted the captain's commission. It was the idea of the United States Marine Headquarters to post him in a comfortable, innocuous, safe stateside desk job. Secretary Knox again intervened, and Captain Douglas got his wish to join an overseas combat division. Little wonder that the ex-professor quickly became known throughout the division as Guna Din. He seemed to be everywhere on the island, always appearing when least expected and most needed. Eugene Sledge recalls an incident early in the battle when enemy artillery and mortar fire were creating havoc everywhere on the beach. An Amtrak carrying desperately needed water and ammunition clanked up to where his platoon was dug in a few hundred feet from the front.
Our attack was called off late in the afternoon, and we were ordered to set up our mortar for the night. An NCO came by and told me to go with him and about 4 others from other platoons to unload an Amtrak bringing up supplies for Company K. We arrived at the designated place, dispersed a little so as to not draw fire, and waited for the Amtrak. In a few minutes it came clanking up in a swirl of white dust. "You guys from K Company 5th Marines?" asked the driver. "Yeah, you got chow and ammo for us?" asked our NCO. "Yeah, sure have. Got a unit of fire, water, and rations. Better get it unloaded as soon as you can or we'll draw fire," the driver said as his machine lurched to a halt and he climbed down. The tractor was an older model such as I had landed from on D-Day. It didn't have a drop tailgate, so we climbed aboard and hefted the heavy ammo boxes over the side and down onto the deck. "Let's go, boys," our NCO said as he and a couple of us climbed onto the tractor. I saw him gaze in amazement down into the cargo area of the tractor. At the bottom, wedged under a pile of ammo boxes, we saw one of those infernal 55-gallon oil drums of water. Filled, they weighed several hundred pounds. Our NCO rested his arms on the side of the tractor and remarked in an exasperated tone, "It took a bloody genius of a supply officer to do that. How in the hell are we supposed to get that drum out of there?" "I don't know," said the driver. "I just bring it up." We cursed and began unloading the ammo as fast as possible. We had expected the water to be in several 5-gallon cans, each of which weighed a little more than 40 pounds. We worked as rapidly as possible, but then we heard that inevitable and deadly 3 big mortar shells exploded, one after the other, not far from us. "Uh-oh, the stuff's hit the fan now," groaned one of my buddies. "Bear a hand, you guys, on the double." said our NCO. "Look, you guys, I'm going to have to get this tractor the hell out of here. If it gets knocked out and it's my fault, the lieutenant will have my can in a crack," groaned the driver.
"You fellas need some help?" asked a Marine who suddenly appeared on the scene. Sledge and his comrades hadn't noticed him until he spoke. The newcomer identified himself. "I'm Captain Paul Douglas, the regimental adjutant. I am proud to be with you and the men of the 5th Marines." He wore green dungarees, leggings, a cloth-covered helmet like ourselves, and carried a .45 caliber automatic pistol like any mortar gunner, machine gunner, or one of our officers, Sledge remembered. But being in combat, there wasn't any rank insignia. What astonished us was that he looked more to be 55 years old and wore glasses, a rarity among men on Peleliu, and when he took off his helmet, we all saw his gray hair. "Gosh, Captain, you don't have to be up here at all, do you?" one of the men asked as he passed ammunition boxes to Douglas. "No," the elderly captain answered, "but I always want to know how you boys up here are making out, and I want to help if I can." The men scampered for cover at the whish-whish sound of 3 more incoming mortar shells that exploded, one after the other, several yards away. They waited for another barrage, but none came. Douglas was the first to pull himself over the Amtrak's side as the shaken Marines followed to finish unloading the cargo with a new surge of energy. The cumbersome drum was hoisted overboard by a rope sling as the beat-faced NCO yelled out instructions, spouting a string of obscenities at the brainless fat-ass rear-echelon bastard who thought filling a dirty fuel barrel with drinking water was a good idea. Several more mortar shells slammed down nearby shortly after the Amtrak was emptied, and the driver roared back towards the relative safety of the beach. Captain Douglas helped the working party stack the heavy ammunition boxes as he bade each man, "So long, good luck, and remember, keep your heads down," as he trudged down the slope. Sledge heard one of his buddies ask, "What's that crazy old gray-haired guy doing up here when he could be back at regiment?" The NCO growled, "Shut up, knock it off, you 8-balls. He's trying to help knuckleheads like you, and he's a damn good man." The storyline you just heard can be found in Peleliu, The Tragic Triumph by Bill D. Roth. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, your favorite World War II based podcast, and we are back again. Hope you guys enjoyed that little intro about Captain Douglas. And joining us, as always, from Texas is Mr. Jeff Copsetta. Jeff, how you doing tonight, sir?
Outstanding. Thank you.
And as always, Mr. Henry Sledge. Henry, how you doing?
Fantastic. And
our special guest tonight, coming from parts unknown because show prep, I don't do any, and I forgot to ask. But you know her from Instagram as Sarah the History Chick, Miss Sarah Levy. Sarah, how you doing tonight, ma'am?
I'm doing good, thank you.
What parts of the world are you from? Where are you broadcasting out of tonight?
Oregon.
Oregon, fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful country.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff and I came across you on Instagram, and we were talking before you came on, we love what you do with Instagram. A lot of people do Instagram. Most of it's photos, World War II stuff, reenactment photos, what have you, but you've taken it a little different direction. For those listening at home and watching at home, explain to our audience how you got the idea for what you're doing on Instagram and how you come up with your content and exactly what you're doing.
So my direction with my history page, I'm a very detail-oriented person. So when I share something that fascinates me, which is what I do, a lot of people post kind of the same stuff over and over again. I like to look for the very interesting stories, the unsung heroes, and all that type of stuff. And then the format of my posts, I do as much information as I can in there, and people love pictures and that type of stuff. So that's kind of where I went. And then I decided to start doing an Instagram live series called History Behind the Page, where I interview the people behind your favorite history pages, the YouTubers, everybody in history, just so you can get to know them a little bit more. And it's also a live Q&A, so you can ask them questions that your little heart desires. And that's kind of where my page is at.
One of the things we like to,
in a nutshell,
one of the things we like to do on the podcast, when first time we have a guest on, is kind of get the background. How did you get into history, or where did it spark for you? Where did it all begin, really?
Well, I think my first love of history started when I was in middle school. We were learning about the Civil War, and we played out the Civil War chronologically in class, and we split up the class into the North and South. And for some reason, I got picked to be Ulysses Grant and read what happened on that day in the class. And then we watched the movie Glory. And at the time, I was in the Matthew Broderick fan club, so I was so excited to see the movie. And then watching that movie, it just sparked my interest. And then it went all throughout high school. And then, after that, I started working in the local film industry with a bunch of other history nerds. And it just kind of, went from there. Also, my Opa served in World War II. He was in Staff Sergeant in the 4th Armored Division. So got a little passionate about that too, and kind of it in a nutshell.
I was just thinking how the world is. I don't think I can't imagine a lot of schools would get away with playing Glory in school anymore. I just don't. At least the full uncensored version.
Yeah, no, not nowadays. Not nowadays.
I always thought Schindler's List should be required watching for seniors classes, but I don't think they'd be able to get away with showing Schindler's List in school. But I always thought Schindler's List should be required watch for senior history class.
I watched Schindler's List sophomore year of high school, and again, times have changed since then, but it definitely wouldn't be appropriate now. But I do think that I agree with you on that one. So,
absolutely, Jeff, you got any questions?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. So when we first linked up, one of the first posts I remember seeing was like, "What's your history jam?" or something like that, and you would answer, "Mine is World War II and now the Korean War." Right? Mm-hmm. Was that you that responded? So, we don't talk a whole lot Korean War on here, obviously, mm-hmm. but no reason why we should. So I'm kind of curious, how did you fall in on kind of the Forgotten War?
The Forgotten War, yes. I found a book at Goodwill called The Last Stand of Fox Company, and it just intrigued me. So I read it, and I learned about the Marines and the Battle of the Chosen and all this stuff, and it just sparked an interest. And now it's just, I didn't realize how intense the Korean War was. I feel like it gets skipped over a lot. People just go from World War II to Vietnam a lot of the time.
Yes.
And so it drew me in, and that's kind of where I started, like about 2 years ago, and now I've just been going with that.
Well, that's awesome. Absolutely, because I know in the reenacting world, a lot of us will hear like, "Oh, that's post-war. That's probably Korean War or whatever." Like, mm-hmm. it seems like things just lose their value because it's not World War II. Oh, it's Korean War stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's just sometimes that bothers me a little bit. Not that I'm a huge Korean War vet, but combat is combat, and our boys bled and fought and died, and no less than anywhere else in the world in the history of this country. So I found that fascinating. It's just something you don't come across. So congratulations to you and for you having the kind of platform that you do have to bring notice to that. I've seen you've done the same thing with an engineer, a combat engineer unit here just recently on your platform as well. So to get those stories out, just congratulations to you for doing that, because that's what this community's, all about. Either we're hitting the beach somewhere at a reenactment, dressing up somewhere, doing air shows, or exactly what you're doing. I love what you're doing.
Oh, so thank you. Thanks.
That's something we've discussed here on the podcast in the past too, is we've talked about it, and I think it'll be more and more poignant now just because of the availability of World War II veterans, is maybe we should start focusing on trying to find, do some interviews with some Korean War veterans and help shine the light on that. And it is true what Jeff was saying about it's kind of, they call it the Forgotten War for a reason. But the interesting thing about living history and the way we've seen it the last couple of years, the younger cats are getting older where, I'm seeing a lot of kids whose grandparents fought in Vietnam. So now they're doing Vietnam impressions. And so now when you go to these multi-timeline impressions, you'll have the few people who still, at least down here, most of the Civil War cats stick to the Civil War only, but every once in a while you'll see a few of them meander into the multi-timelines. And then occasionally you might have one or two World War I guys and a plethora of World War II guys. And now you're starting to see the Vietnam, and even I've actually seen some of these younger cats whose dads fought in the Gulf War and Iraq War, starting to try to track down that stuff and start to build those impressions out. So as the time, it's interesting how as the timeline goes by, the direct descendants of the people who fought in whatever combat, that's how those timelines start to form because they want to learn more about their grandparents or what their father did or mothers did. And so it's kind of interesting to see how the hobby is just ever growing based on the age of the person participating.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do a lot of, I'm seeing the Instagram photo of you. Do you do have you toyed around with any living history at all, or you primarily just do the, your version on Instagram and the video formats?
Mostly just Instagram and the video formats. I haven't gotten out much. So haven't done much of the living history part. So
now, as you were saying, 4th Armored Division, I see you have Staff Sergeant Jack Levy. Have you been able to find out a lot of his history, or is it just kind of what paperwork some of your relatives still have? Because I'm having that problem with my grandfather who served in the European theater, but sadly, a lot of his paperwork was in that fire in what was it, Jeff, the mid-'90s? Where a lot of the paperwork got burnt up, and so
in Indianapolis,
yeah,
yeah.
And so I didn't know if you're able to track down more information on him, or just based off what your family has.
I have a lot of what my family has. I kind of just have his basic paperwork, his discharge papers, and everything. So tracking his step by steps has been a little bit difficult, but luckily I have some friends who love to do that and have helped me out with that. But the 4th Armored Division moved super fast during the war, so they didn't stay put too long. But I'm still trying to piece those together over the past 7 years, but it's slowly getting there. I have all his medals. I have all of his stuff that my aunt and uncle sent me. So we're still getting there. I want to know exactly where he was at what time, and it's slowly coming together.
That's fantastic. Do you get a lot of messages from other women out there who are, I'm sure, thrilled to see what you're doing, but maybe wondering how maybe they can kind of get their voice out or more interest into history and like probably what a lot of the women's contribution was to the war effort?
I haven't received any messages like that. My page is pretty new, so I haven't reached out to other people, and other people haven't reached out to me that much. So, but we'll see. But the women's effort in the war is absolutely amazing. So,
yeah, and I always love when I come across females in the living history world who talk about the Women's Auxiliary Corps and obviously the Army nurses and the women who served in the Marine Corps. And it's definitely one of those overlooked aspects when it comes to history. And it's great to see more attention shined onto that stuff.
I agree.
And I know Jeff has quite a few volunteers out there in Texas at his museum who do a lot of the coverage of the female contribution to the war effort.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, and we are always recruiting, just to let you know. Next time you're in my neck of the woods. Yeah, I think at the air show we just had a month or so ago, I want to say I had about 11 or 12 gals in uniform as opposed to about 6 or 8 guys in uniform. So we were actually, kind of you wouldn't think it would be that, but I think it's very important. And the girls who reenact with me find it very important too, to make sure that we have somebody, if we're going to do a public presentation, we're going to have a girl dressed in every uniform service that they served in, between the Army WACs, the female Marines, the Navy Waves, Coast Guard SPARs, and of course, even though they weren't necessarily a branch of the service, but of course we have to represent the WASPs. Then the all-important, the gals back home, the Rosie the Riveters, gals with the Victory Garden. So, yeah, and I can tell you, too, that I just did a presentation. I'm a high school teacher working my way into the history department. But I just did, this is the time of year we cover World War II, in the curriculum. And I just did a presentation, last Friday, I guess it was, where I was like, okay, I know some of these students, how can I keep their attention for about an hour? And I basically split it right down the middle with, I did some of the fun stuff first, dress a guy up in my Army, combat gear. And then I took another kid and I gave him a Mae West and a headset and a bailout bottle, talk Air Corps. And then shifted over to talk some of the all the acronyms with, talking about what the waves, what did that even stand for? Not just because it's Navy, it did stand for something. And something that I had just recently learned, speaking of the WASPs, it was brought to my attention that if people know Walt Disney. Everybody knows who Walt Disney is. Well, Walt Disney created a character for the Wasp, and I think Henry's shaking his head. He knows where I'm going with this. Finfarella is the kind of the winged gremlin that they use, kind of a lesser known Disney princess, but Walt Disney designed Finfarella for the Wasps. That was featured on their patch, and lucky to have one here at my disposal to be able to travel with and show kids. And then, of course, everything back home. I brought a 1943 steel penny in, and talking about collecting your cooking fats for explosives and copper and brass and rubber. And I love talking about girls' underwear.
Sure you do.
Ladies were. I mean, who doesn't, right?
Well, I didn't think we were going to go there, but I'm liking it.
He's always looking for an excuse to talk about bloomers.
But still just. And I handed around a silk map. I mean, there's not a lot of people have felt, pure silk like that from that time period. So girls pulling off their silk stockings for maps, and of course the all important parachute. So yeah, it's great, and I think that's what really and Don, you really hit the nail on the head. If you haven't been contacted by female reenactors, you will, especially that picture of you in the Wave uniform. You will, because it's a lot like the Korean War. It's kind of like, we just kind of footnote in history, but really not. So yeah, I can see that coming for sure.
Jeff,
and you would do an amazing job telling that story.
Yeah.
Hey Jeff, as a living historian and someone who is embedded in World War II as you are, and someone who's getting into the teaching realm, are you a little disappointed, or are you satisfied with the amount of pre-written curriculum in the history books on World War II, or have you found it's kind of minimum and you have to expand greatly on it? Not to put you on the table, but I just am. I think that's subject matter for another podcast. I don't want to take from Sarah's time on that one. Well, we have plenty of time.
I'm actually interested. I want to hear the answer.
Well, see, the good news is it sounds like they allow you to expand on it yourself by bringing in your stuff and adding to it. But I just didn't know the pre-written text, because I talked to a lot of people say there's not much there. It's just, here's these dates, here's the Allies, here's the Axis, and here's D-Day and Battle of the Bulge, and that's it.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, that's just how history has to be taught, because we have just such a short amount of time. It has to be, and that's why most kids don't like history, because memorization. And I've tried to kind of let these kiddos know, like, hey guys, history is everything that happened before right now. It's people, it's experiences, it's things that are relevant. It's a domino effect. It's not what date and what person said that. It's really not, although that is how it's perceived, because you have to flip through a history book that's this thick and memorize. That's what makes it on the test. Going after a history bachelor program that I'm in now, as you get to a higher level of education, it's not that. It's how is it relevant? How is socioeconomics part of the game, and the politics and everything? So for high school kids, I just want to try to do the best I can and say, hey, remember that one line that you read in chapter 26 about World War II? Here, let me hand it to you. Put it on. Let's talk about that. It's just how it is. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. Especially if even if you're in a world history program, you're really glossing over American history. Now, I have heard from some of the guys in the history department I work with, and said, sometimes world history, we have a little bit more freedom to kind of, zone in a little bit more, not just a 30,000, foot approach to things. They can pull from certain things and really kind of zone in more. Whereas in the American history class, it's boom, 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 boom. So you actually have more of that freedom in a world history environment than you do in the American history at the high school level. So I am excited to be able to take that and bring it a little bit closer, bring it a little bit more in focus. But the textbooks are what they are. They're just a tool. So,
Sarah, out in Oregon, what are some of the main museums out in that area? because I'm seeing some fantastic photos of like you in front of the Spruce Goose and you in front of the C-47s. And do you guys have a lot of museums out there? Or do you have to travel out of state to find some of the larger ones?
So the main kind of history museum out here. So the one where I'm, that's at the Evergreen Aviation Museum. That's about 20 minutes away from me.
Nice.
So they have the Spruce Goose. They have a bunch of World War II. I mean, so much aviation history, and the Space Museum too, as well. And then besides the Historical Society in downtown Portland, there's really not that many museums. In Oregon, up in Washington, about 45 minutes away, there's the Pearson's Airfield Museum. That's early aviation, more World War I. But yeah, there's a few monuments here and there, but the Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum is really, really amazing.
Yeah, I was looking at the photos. It looks pretty damn expansive. We kind of have a little segment on here where we talk about the latest books that we've been reading, and maybe we'll let you head it off. What's the one of the latest World War II based books that you just finished in your daily reading habits?
Well, I haven't finished it yet, but it's D-Day of the U.S. Rangers and the Untold Story of the Macy Battery, the cover at Omaha. So I'm in the process of reading this right now. It was suggested to me from somebody on Instagram, and I have a habit of starting books and then buying another book and then starting that book and then not finishing the other book, and then I
think that's a problem we all have. Like
I think so too.
I'm just not kidding. I've been reading this damn Pellew book for months now. Like every episode is like, so guys, what book you on? Because I'm a slow reader and I'm still on Pellew. Mm-hmm. But no, that Ranger story, I think they just made a documentary about that whole area with the Rangers and that gun emplacement. I can't remember what the hell it was. It came out a few years ago. I know they were working on it. I know they also came out with a short film too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Jeff, what book are you reading, sir?
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that because I actually am not reading a World War II book right now. I finished Tales of Angels. That's the one I think I mentioned an episode or two ago, and I can't help it, guys. I'm a huge Hemingway fan. I couldn't help it. I got a hold of another one, and I don't know if our listeners probably know this, but I love reading about the bullfights and Hemingway's time in Spain. And there was a book that was published years after he had passed away called The Deadly Summer or The Dangerous Summer, about him and his wife returning to Spain in the 50s and seeing all of these famous bullfights bullfighters, the matadors coming out of retirement and competing with some of the younger guys who thought they were slick. So not a help to our World War II listeners at all. Sorry. Although Hemingway has written some great books about combat in the First World War and in the Spanish Civil War, which if you don't know anything about the Spanish Civil War, you should, because a lot of that stuff is very relevant to what ties into the Second World War. So my very first, I can tie this in real quick. My very first image that comes into my mind when I think of the Spanish Civil War is Picasso's Guernica, if you're not familiar with that. And that movement of that kind of surreal art really upset one Adolf Hitler, who was not accepted into the Vienna art school because, and Hitler was a great artist. He's an artist like me. I like to paint landscapes and stuff that's like freaking real, like, oh, cool, mountains and sunsets and trees. I can dig that. But at the time that he was trying to get on board there was artists like Picasso, for example, who were, whatever that is, that's just a different art movement. So yeah, some of the aircraft are very relevant. Of course, the Stukas and what they did in bombing Madrid, So there's some lessons there that you can read about the Spanish Civil War that definitely tie into the Second World War just a few years later.
Henry, what do you got going on in your library this week?
Right now, I am reading one of the part of the trilogy here, Samuel Hines' Flights of Passage, a Marine Aviator. I started that yesterday, really enjoying that. While we were at the beach, I read this by James M. Scott, Target Tokyo. Can you see that okay, or is it reversed?
That looks good.
Mm-hmm. Really good book, man. This guy is a heck of a writer, heck of a historian. He wrote another book that I have not read, and it's called Rampage, about Manila, the Battle of Manila in 45. And he and I actually were messaging on Facebook the other night. I had commented on something. He was doing a talk on the Doolittle raid, and I commented on it and said, "Hey, I loved your book." And he came back and said, "Hey, man, I loved reading your dad's book." And so, but he also wrote a book on the submarine war called The War Below, which he details 3 submarines, one of which is the USS Drum, which is just down the road from me in Mobile, parked by the battleship Alabama.
Nice.
So I got that book, looking forward to reading it. But right now I'm reading Flights of Passage by Samuel Hines.
It's funny you brought up the submarine, because I think it was like, 4 or 5 episodes back, I was saying, as I look across the studio, I have 1 or 2 submarine-based books, and that's something we don't really cover too much on this podcast. Maybe that's something we need to, speaking of overlooked areas of combat, that's something that we definitely need to look into and get into.
Submarines do tend to sneak in under the radar.
Yep. They're tricky like that.
Hey, can I ask Sarah a question?
By all means.
So I love your connection to 4th Armored. So my uncle, my dad's older brother, was a tank commander in 741st Tank Battalion. So he was attached to 2nd Infantry Division for a good part of his World War II experience. But I know his uniform. I got a picture of him and my dad at the end of the war. And everybody asks me this. Maybe you can shed light on it, because I don't know the answer. His shoulder patch is 2nd Armored, Hell on Wheels. But I know from looking at his records, he was 741st Tank Battalion. So do you think he just got shuffled over administratively into 2nd Armored at the end of the war? Because I've got pretty good records on where he was and what he did.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility, because I know that in the 4th Armored, there was a lot of shuffling going on in regards to that with my OPA and a lot of the guys in his unit. So I honestly think that is definitely a possibility, but I don't have a definitive answer. That's just my personal opinion from everything that I've researched and kind of struggling to get everything all put together with the 4th Armored Division and everything with my OPA. So
yeah, I'm actually zooming in on his photo, and sadly that left shoulder is just a smidge cocked to the back where you can't make out the division patch on his shoulder. So wait, here's another one. Yeah, nope, that one you can't see the division patch either.
I'd be able to shed some light on that as well. When there was a lot of times where guys were attached to detached, and as where the detachment of men comes from. Obviously, it's a French word used during Napoleon times. It's a French word that basically means you were detached from, from the larger group. But I know that if you did serve with multiple units, you had the choice. You essentially could wear the patch that you chose, especially in a garrison environment. Now, of course, if you're redeploying again, you guys need to look the same. But yeah, I mean, that happens a lot in today's combat as well. Guys get attached to a certain unit and they get to wear that, or whichever one they want. So that's interesting. And there could have been maybe just a lack of, seamstresses. There could have been a lack of, who cares? You didn't change it, but before your next official photo kind of thing, It'd be interesting. I think there's a million reasons.
Are any of you familiar with the gentleman by the name of Freddie Spencer Chapman, by any chance? World War II vet?
I am not.
The nice thing about your cell phone spying on you is they know what you're into. And like on my Android, if I swipe left, I have a news feed, and a lot of it either has to do with bass fishing, World War II, or computers. And this story
this
from
is going to go a whole other way.
No, that's you and your women's underwear catalog that shows up.
I was just about to say we've kind of covered a lot of ground here.
But anyhow, the AdventureJournal.com came up with the story that I'm reading, and I'm going to research some more on this guy. As I said, his name was Freddie Spencer Chapman, and the title is Alpinist and World War II Saboteur Freddie S. Chapman Was All Kinds of Badass. And the whole first half of the story goes about talking about how he grew up, went off to school, traveled around the world. He was a mountain climber, and did all these adventures and literally went everywhere. Went to the Himalayas and was climbing some of the smaller, lesser mountains than K2 and traveling all around. And then it fast forwards to World War II, and it's I had to highlight it. And just real quick, he basically ended up over in Singapore in February 1942, working for the British resistance. And him and about 2 other guys undertook a campaign of sabotage that Chapman later referred to as Mad Fortnight, blowing up 15 railways, derailing 7 trains, destroying 40 military vehicles. According to biographer Brian Menahan, the Japanese command believed that the campaign was the work of 200 highly trained commandos, and the Japanese deployed 2,000 troops to hunt down the 3-man group down. Chapman and his team quickly ran through their stock of 100 grenades and 1,000 pounds of plastic explosives, which they had packed into bamboo to fashion homemade bombs. And I'm reading through the story, and apparently he was a very meticulous note taker. And it wasn't after he woke up, because he obviously living in the woods. He was living with some of the locals, hiding out from the Japanese. And they, like I said, there's only 3 of them, and his 2 comrades ended up dying. And so he was living in the jungle with these locals. And it wasn't until he woke up one day and was looking through his diary, because he kept daily notes. And just in this little brief page, he realized he was in a coma for 19 days because he hadn't written any notes. And so he was so malnourished and so under-equipped. But he ended up surviving the war and going on. But I'm interested in this life of this alpinist and basically all-around badass who basically he traveled the world before the war. War came along, he joined up and then used his skills as a wilderness man and just completely, him and 3 guys just wreaked havoc on the Japanese. And so I definitely think that would be some interesting content to look into for the show. But yeah.
Absolutely.
So Sarah, what do you got coming down the pike? What's your plans for history and expanding everything that you're doing?
I don't know. At the moment, I'm just kind of doing what I'm doing. Doing my weekly history behind the page interviews with a bunch of awesome history nerds, and I don't know, just yeah, that's kind of my plan right now.
Have you considered maybe expanding the format a little bit and going more YouTube so you can have more time? Or, instead of doing just strictly live, maybe doing pre-produced stuff, or are you just enjoying the live format of it?
So I've thought about YouTube. I'm very foreign to YouTube. I don't know how to use it. I don't know like any of that stuff. I've been really frustrated with Instagram lately. And so a lot of people have suggested going over to YouTube, but I'm open to it. I would have to look into it more because I don't know how that world works. So not
to go too down far on it, because we've talked about ad nauseum on here. I can understand the frustration with Instagram just because it's owned by Facebook and they have the same. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want people to see your content? That's cool. Pay us, sucker. And so it's
exactly.
TikTok may be the way to go. By the way, TikTok, you get views without paying anything. So you could easily just take those same videos and just download them off Instagram and upload them right to, with a 3-minute format. But you can do lives on there as well. But I've been doing a lot more stuff on TikTok because of that. I lost my love for Facebook because, I had multiple pages and I've been on there for so long. And after a while, they just got so money hungry. It's like, wait a minute, I have so many followers. Why is only 5 of them seeing my posts unless I pay you guys?
Exactly.
And it's just so disheartening. Problem with YouTube is there's so much competition on there. It's so hard to get the viewerships up. And it's when you're starting to build an audience on a platform, it's kind of a pain in the ass to switch platforms in full stream.
Yeah. And I'm not that competitive of a person too, so I don't know how good I would be at YouTube. So
well, I mean, you just basically just pre-record your interviews and edit them and then upload them and away you go.
Yeah. But the good thing about Instagram is because it is a live Q&A too, so people get to ask questions, during the live too. So that's why I think I've stuck with Instagram for a while, because I know the format pretty much. So,
how long are most of your videos, Sarah?
My history behind the page videos are an hour long. hour-long interview. And then, so the beginning of the video starts off with everybody talking about how they got into history, what got them into it, how they started, dependent if it's a YouTube channel, whatever. And then we have predisposed questions that get asked ahead of time, and then it's open for people to ask questions during the live that they want to ask.
Which one of your guests stands out in the back of your mind is, I don't know, maybe one of the most surprising episodes you did, or you go, you kind of go in these things want to go one way and it goes a completely different way, and you're just completely thrilled by it and just blown away at maybe how easy they were to talk to, how open they were, and just, is there a particular guest you had that just stands out in your mind as one of your favorite episodes?
All of my guests have been super fantastic, but last week, or was it the week before? I don't know. My concept of time is off. I had Freddie Joe Farnsworth on from, he's a military advisor for the Pacific Band of Brothers.
Oh, we know Freddie Joe.
Yeah, and he is he's fantastic. He's such a great speaker. He has amazing stories. He can carry everything along, and just one surprise after the other. It was great. That was definitely a really fun and good, informative interview.
Yeah, we got Freddie on the calendar as well. When it comes down to tracking down your guests, are you kind of surprised how, or do you find most of them easy and willing to come on, or does it take a little footwork?
I have not had to the thing is, for me, I'm not scared to ask somebody to come on, because the worst that they're going to say is no. Yeah. That's the worst that will happen. But I choose my guests on people that I love their page, I love their content, and every time I've asked somebody, let's see, I'll be doing episode 9 next week or this week, and everyone's been super ecstatic to come on and enjoy it, and I haven't had a hard time. I haven't had to pull any teeth yet. So
no, I find sometimes if you're trying to reach out through social media platforms, if that person's not following you, your message goes into the other box, and a lot of people don't even realize the other box is there. And so they'll send you a message. You'll send them a message, and it's not that they're ghosting you. It's just you're in the other box.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you'll really get hoping that somebody will come on. And they never get back to you because you're in the other box.
Yeah.
But
in the mystery box. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I saw you. You sent me an email 3 years ago. I just found it in the other box. I actually had a friend on Facebook I grew up with. That's kind of how I got into the military stuff. When I lived in Ohio, his father was a Marine Corps gunny sergeant, and his mom was retired Navy, and we lived in a neighborhood. And I basically lived at his house through the summers and all that. And then I moved away in middle school, and fast forward 18 years, I found him on Facebook, sent him a message, and 2 years later, he's like, "Oh yeah, that is me. Sorry, your message was in the other box." And so it's like, well, thanks for getting back to me.
Yeah, right.
Is there, the interesting thing about history and World War II, for example, is there's a little niche thing that people grab onto. For me, it's M1 helmets, canteens, which is a weird one. I love researching canteens and life preservers and things like that. Do you have a little weird obsession with something that you can't explain, just a fine-tuned in thing about World War II, or a specific topic on World War II that just for some reason grabs onto you and you can't get enough of?
Like a time in history?
Well, it could be a time, it could be a battle, it could be something as, like I said, something as weird as being fixated on,
yes,
canteens, or, in Jeff's case, women's underwear.
I knew that was coming, Jeff. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We all did.
I have a very odd fascination with the USS Indianapolis.
Okay.
And that whole story and everything. I don't know. I have no idea why, but I have the biggest fascination with that story. I swear my friends are sick. Yes, sir. We don't need to hear anything about the Indy anymore. You've talked about it enough, but I think it's kind of my one thing. I don't know why I'm so intrigued with it.
It's funny you bring that up. I'm in the process of closing down my business, and I'm moving everything into my garage. And so I had a TV monitor that I used to have in my tech shop that I had nowhere to put. So I mounted it on the wall in my garage. And so I turned on Roku TV, and they have their live channel, right? It's just like basic cable. And I was flipping through, and I was watching this documentary. I'm not sure when it was put out, but it was old. It was long enough ago that the few survivors were doing an interview, and it was crazy hearing firsthand accounts of, not only the sinking that we all know about, but getting damaged by, by the kamikazes and all that during the battles in the Pacific, and then heading back home. And then that's when they got hit, and being in the water for 4 days, and hearing the firsthand accounts from those guys. And it's just, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and things change, but I seriously was standing at my garage starting to like get teary eyed and cry and listen to these guys talking about the freaking nightmare, and and how happy they were when the planes were flying over and kind of giving them the wing tilt to, hey, we've seen you. And one guy was talking about how he was in his life raft looking at one of the vessels coming up, and then next thing he knows, he's getting tapped on the shoulder because another craft came up behind him. And it's just, that story is just so damn heartbreaking. It's just, are
you talking about the Indianapolis, Don?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. I mean, there are one of the ships that helped end the war. I mean, they got sunk by carrying the key components to the atomic bomb, so that we could drop it on Japan. And so just the whole shuffle that happened with them missing for so long and everything, the story is just intense, and being in shark infested waters and being dehydrated and being badly burned, and nobody knew the Indy was missing. Nobody knew because there was very bad communication and laziness with the check-in, and it just, it's a very intense story. But that documentary you're talking about, it's called the USS Indianapolis. That documentary took 7 years to make.
I can imagine, because and as you were saying, one of the survivors were saying, one of our guys got on board, and they're like, what ship are you from? He's like, the Indianapolis. Like, what are you talking about? We saw it heading off 3 days ago, or 5 days ago, or whatever, heading back to Hawaii. And as you're saying, no one knew.
Yeah, and a lot of they didn't know because after they dropped off the components of the atomic bomb, they were supposed to go out and do training drills to start for the invasion of Japan. And because they were on a top secret mission, that's where the lack of, it wasn't shocking that they didn't check in, but it was, and the whole ending story with Captain McVeigh and the court martial and everything, it's a really tragic story for Captain McVeigh, and kind of not so great on the Navy's part.
Well, based on the technology and the broadcast back then, when you're on a top secret mission, you're radio silence. And so, a lot of that stuff happens. I mean, we hear it all the time. But that was just, go ahead.
Sarah, do you have a favorite book on the Indianapolis?
Yeah, it's called In Harm's Way by Doug Stanton.
Okay.
It's really good. It's a super good book. That's the book that got me into the Indy. But he goes into grave detail about what the guys in the water went through when the ship got hit by the torpedoes and was sinking, and then also the rescue. And then they go into the details of Captain McVeigh's court martial and the whole ending of it. And it's a good book.
One of the things we don't think about, the survivors was talking about, after they spotted them and they started flying over and dropping supplies or dropping water kegs that were basically, the kegs were made out of wood, and some of them blew up. Could you imagine being in the water for 5 days, dying of thirst, and you're just seeing these gallons of water just blowing up in front of you? And then one guy said, they dropped these inflatable rafts. He's like, it took almost an entire day to figure out how to inflate the damn thing. So they got their survival raft in front of them, and they're literally trying to figure out how to get it open and get into it.
Yeah. They had no strength, no anything. They were dehydrated, delirious. They were weak. They were injured. It was, it's
one of the real heart-provoking stories is a survivor saying, one of the vessels pulled up, and it was about 300 yards away, and there was 3 of us. We survived all this time in the water, and we decided to swim for it, and I'm the only one who made it. He's like, it haunts me to this day that if we would have just stayed put and waited, chances are all 3 of us would have came out, but we were so weak that when we made that swim, that his 2 fellow survivors, they succumbed to their weakness and just drowned.
Yeah, some also swam away from the ships when they were getting rescued and everything, because they were so delirious and dehydrated that they just swam away.
Yeah, that's sadly, I think most people in modern day, most of the information they have from that is the fictional made up story that's told during Jaws and the famous scene between the captain and the scientist. But yeah, that's, I don't know, that's just another one of those stories that just, I don't know, just like I said, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but I was literally in my garage bar to cry. I was like, oh, this is too hard. I got to turn it off. But it's 7 years to make that. I can definitely see that. That was a well put together documentary.
Yeah.
But
very informative. Mm-hmm.
So that's the little thing that got stuck in your craw, huh? That's your one.
That is the one thing. I have no idea why. It just did.
But that's cool though, because and that's one thing I love about talking to historians is, everybody has that one, whether it's a battle, a scene, a vessel, or just everybody has their one little thing they hone in on, and they have all the.
Or their one movie, like Henry and the Thin Red Line.
I was waiting. I was waiting for the Thin Red Line. Sarah, we got to ask you. Maybe this will be a new thing we do on every single episode. What's your opinion on the Thin Red Line?
We're going to get Brian Dimitrovich back on here and talk about that.
This is a hot debate in history nerds alike. They either love it or they hate it. I think it's a fine movie. I don't think it's not anything epic. I don't think it's awful. It's an enjoyable movie. I don't know. That's just my opinion on the movie.
What did you say,
Sarah? I've tried to tell these guys I didn't like it when I first saw it. The music grew on me, and then I grew to like it. Then I'm like, well, it is filmed on Guadalcanal, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But we discuss this every time because my two buddies here love to talk about it.
Well, and I said, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is rough sledding. And then I went back, and because of the podcast, I watched it about 4 months ago, and I realized the problem with it is it's kind of a movie made for people who know a lot about the subject. When I first saw it, I didn't know anything about the subject. I just liked war movies, and it made no sense to me. And now that I know a little bit about Guadalcanal and about the subject matter, it made more sense. But I think, I don't know, there's just a lot there that just didn't land, I guess. But
I'll try to move the conversation along past the Thin Red Line. Sarah, I love that you're out there doing what you do. I think it's great.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
How can you pass the Thin Red Line?
Do what, Doug?
How are you going to pass the Thin Red Line and not show it the respect that it...
We'll go back. Let's talk about our favorite scene.
Right back.
Okay, you're absolutely right. We're going to segue from the Thin Red Line and go straight to Wind Talkers. How'd you feel about Wind Talkers, Sarah?
I think Nicolas Cage needs to not make war movies.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But the one he made about the Indianapolis, it's not a bad flick.
Uh-oh. Let it go, Sarah. Go there. No, you can go there. Trust me, Nicolas Cage doesn't listen to the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast. You're not going to get...
Oh, he doesn't? Oh, darn.
No. So let's hear your...
What was the name of the movie he made on the Indianapolis?
U.S. Indianapolis Men of Courage.
Wow, she even has the subtitle to the movie.
But she says it.
Is it pretty old?
She owns the director's cut.
No, it came out like 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. COVID timeline. Hold on, maybe like 4 years ago, something like that.
It's older than that. I thought.
And maybe again, everyone
forgettable.
Nick Cage as Captain McVeigh, worst casting ever.
2016.
Worst casting ever. But also, here's the thing.
That's a bad poster too. Oh, that poster's horrible. I'm looking at it online. 2016. 2016.
Okay, so my perception of time is way off. Here's the thing with that movie. If you're somebody who doesn't know a lot about the USS Indianapolis and likes kind of like the romance movies, like the Pearl Harbor-esque movies, you're going to like the USS Indianapolis Men of Courage. But if you're somebody who knows a little bit about it, you're just not going to, you're going to find a little.
I think that's the case with just about any World War II or military movie. Yeah. I really do. I mean, because there has to be the entertainment aspect. They got to stretch the truth. I totally agree with that. But yeah, I mean, it's military. So.
The only other recognizable name I see on there, which he did a great job in Pearl Harbor, was Tom Sizemore, and he was a great in Saving Private Ryan. But Tom Sizemore is the only other recognizable name on that I can see on.
Oh, he was in that.
Yeah,
he was in the Indianapolis. I guess they caught him in between prison sentences
or drug rehab. Was there like a romantic storyline? Because I'm seeing there's Emily Tennant played Clara. Did they get like the Pearl Harbor route where they put like a love interest into there as well?
It wasn't like a super love story, just some lovely ladies in there. But yeah, it wasn't as romance as Pearl Harbor was.
Are you trying to tell me a World War II movie filmed and directed by Mario Van Peebles didn't set the world on fire?
Oh man.
I was just looking at Mario. I'm like, wait, the Mario Van Peebles?
Heartbreak Ridge, man. He was great in Heartbreak Ridge.
Yeah, until Gunny ripped his earring out, threw it on the floor. Oh, that was one of those movies that was heavy on rotation when I was a kid on HBO. We lived at Rickenbacker Air Force Base. My brother was in Civil Air Patrol. We used to go on the base, get haircuts and all that stuff. And we as kids, we would just watch, and during the summertime, watch Heartbreak Ridge, and then just Heartbreak Ridge and Iron Eagle. That's where it was when I was a kid. Yes. We would just run around the base, and we would actually go to the PX and buy old M1 helmet liners and gas bags. And I had like a toy M16. We would just run all over that damn base. Not the base, but the residential area, just playing guns all day and just watching Iron Eagle. And we used to jump out of trees and pretend to be paratroopers and all that stuff. But Iron Eagle, what was the other movies? Heartbreak Ridge. What was the other Air Force movie? Not Iron Eagle, obviously Top Gun, but I guess Iron Eagle would have been the poor man's Top Gun. Oh, Chappie.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one called Flight of the Intruder?
Yes, I think that's what it was.
I never saw it.
Good. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Hey, have you guys?
No.
We were really getting in a rabbit hole here, but
there's nothing wrong with going down the rabbit hole. The final countdown.
Do you remember that movie
with Martin Sheen?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember it well.
I thought that was so cool watching that when I was a kid. That was a neat flick. I mean, obviously a real stretch, but so storyline basically the aircraft carrier modern day, and when I say modern day, I guess it's probably mid 80s, I guess, somewhere in there.
Final countdown, 1980,
maybe 70s.
Is this the time traveling one?
You make it sound so negative when you say that. Is this the time traveling one? Yes, the aircraft carrier got to 88 miles an hour and then
left a big old trail of fire. The 1980s aircraft carrier USS Nimitz is departing naval station from Pearl Harbor for a naval exercise in the mid-Pacific Ocean. The ship takes on civilian observers, warns Zelensky. The system analysis, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it looks like there's some sort of lightning storm, which always happens in the 90s. That's the 80s and 90s, because after all, that's how you change bodies, too, is lightning storm. Next thing you know, you're an old man, and he's a young man, and all that stuff. I've heard about this movie, but I've never seen it.
Jeff, I loved it.
Come on. Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Because that was back in the days. I was pretty young. I wanted to be a Navy pilot. That was before that dream got trashed.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought it was pretty cool.
I knew a guy. So what carrier did it say it was?
The USS Nimitz.
Nimitz.
Oh, yeah, that does. Okay, so
charged into a storm-like vortex.
Used was the Ranger, the USS Ranger. I thought was the one that I met a guy years ago that was on the carrier in the Navy, assigned to it when they were using it for the film, and I wanted to say it was the USS Ranger.
Hold on, I'm looking.
But we don't have to go look that up.
Oh, I'm looking, baby. I'm there now.
That important. But I thought that was a fun film, and I also liked Forever Young. If you remember the early Mel Gibson, he was a Army Air Corps, and nobody, nothing here.
No,
he was an Army Air Corps test pilot. He flew B-25. This is before America's involvement in the war, and gets rolled into some experiment where he is cryogenically frozen. Oh, come on.
This is getting better and better.
Hey, we'll know the show has gone off the rails when somebody brings up.
Man, I'm going to catch so much heck for this episode. Okay.
Hey, Don, I don't ever want to hear another word
Hot
about
shots.
the
Hot shots and hot shots part 2. Once we bring up hot shots, we know the show has gone off the rails.
But seriously, he's an Army test pilot. It's just great because you get to see the old cars and the cafes and the diners and stuff like that. Just that whole feel. And he's got the love of his life, right? And he thinks that she is killed in a car accident. So he volunteers for this crazy program. Wakes up 50 years later, right? It's the 90s now. These kids find him, this old Army Air Force experiment, and he was still frozen. And of course, this is Mel Gibson, so this is decent acting here. So anyway, long story short, he finds out that the love of his life did not die in a car crash in like 1939. And the rest of the movie, he's trying to find her as he is rapidly aging, as everything is kind of catching up to him. But he's a B-25 pilot. It's pretty slick. I'm going to stop talking now.
While we're on bad 1990s semi-military movies, here's another one for you, Jeff.
We were talking about when we were kids, okay?
Toy Soldiers. Remember Toy Soldiers? Just think, Colombian terrorists take over a boys' school.
Mm-hmm. I do remember that. Yeah.
Sean Austin. That was another vehicle for Mr. Lou Gossett Jr. He was in his prime.
I'm not judging you for that. Henry's like, do you remember that old movie, The Great American Train Robbery, that Thomas Edison did? Remember that when I was a kid?
Oh, yeah. Now we're reaching. Let's just, quick, take a shot at Henry now.
No, he was watching Gunsmoke.
I was watching Hogan's Heroes, man.
By the way, this derailed episode of the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast. If you guys, I was getting ready to go into our normal spiel, but seeing I'm shutting my business down, I don't have to do that one anymore. But if you guys want to support the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, please head over to WTSPWorldWar2.com. Click on that Patreon link, sign up. It's only $1 a month. And if you really, really like us, you can do the long arm short pocket plan, which is $7.50 a month, and get your free T-shirt, maybe the one that Jeff's wearing, and we'll send that to you after month 2. And as always, please like, subscribe, and on all the platforms. And if you're on iTunes, which a lot of you guys are, please give us a nice review, a 5-star, and all that good stuff. And you can support the show that way. That's the best way to get the word out and all that good stuff. But this show has been blown up. Like I said, we are now booked out, I think, until the end of mid-May now, I think. And
Dan Carlin's May 16th, I think.
Yep. And things are just trucking right along. Sarah, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And if we got everything in, unless you got some more, maybe we can do some 70s movies and we can go down that route.
Oh, rabbit hole. No, thank you so much for asking me to be on.
Actually, before we wrap it up, let's clear the water a little bit. Jeff threw out a bad USS Indianapolis movie. What's one that you recommend for people to watch? Something a palate cleanser, other than that great documentary.
I am seriously completely. It's so funny. I was sitting here during this whole podcast trying to think of the movie. It's a Stacy Keach movie. Came out in 1993, and I'm completely blanking the name of it. And it's funny because I just posted about it the other day, but I'm having a Sarah brain fart right now. And yeah. Stacy Keach movie with like
Mission
something
of the Shark.
Mission. Yes. Yep.
The Saga of the USS Indianapolis.
Good movie.
Let's see who's on that.
What was the title?
Oh, hey, this is right up your alley, Henry. Richard Thomas, otherwise known as John Boy from the Walton family.
John Boy, the Waltons.
He was in that.
Yes, it's called Mission of the Shark, the Saga of the USS Indianapolis, featuring Stacy Keach, Richard Thomas, Don Harvey. Let's see who else. No, Steven Landsberg's in there. Gordon Clapp. Oh, Dale Dye. That guy's been in everything. Good old Dale Dye. William Jordan, Joseph Cadbury. But yeah, it looks like the main cast is Stacy Keach as Captain Charles Butler McVeigh, and John Boy plays Lieutenant Stephen Scott. And so that's one we'll have to put on the list. And well, that doesn't count. IMDb gives everything a 6.3. Let's see what the official Rotten Tomatoes scores. Oh, maybe that's something we could do real quick. We'll do the Rotten Tomatoes on all these movies we just listed, or at least this one. Let's see.
IMDb rating is so off.
Yeah, everything's a 6.3 because they don't want to offend anybody. Why is that not showing up? I don't even think this one's on there. It's got to be on there. No. No. Here we go. Mission of the Shark, 1991. More details. No rating on this yet. Yep.
IMDb ratings are meant to tell you what you want to hear.
Yeah. What was the one?
Literally.
What was the one we didn't want to watch?
Which one?
The one we didn't want to watch. The Nick Cage.
Oh, USS Indianapolis Men of Courage.
Oh, USS Indianapolis, the final chapter, came out in 2019. Don't know who's in that one. It says unknown actor. USS Indianapolis, The Legacy, 2015. Have you seen that one at all?
I am not sure. I'm not sure. I've only seen the Mission of the Shark, the really bad Nick Cage movie, and then a bunch of documentaries on it.
Well, she can't be slammed for saying the really bad Nicolas Cage movie because it has a 17% with the top critics and a 30% with the audience. So even the audience didn't care for it. And so it's
no offense to anybody who liked it, but that's just my opinion.
You mean the 30% of the people who actually like the movie?
Yes.
Well, what are you going to do?
It is what it is.
Yeah. So, why don't you throw out real quick, Sarah, as we always do, we're going to put a link to your Instagram page and any of the other media pages on our website, WTSPWorldWar2.com. So for those of y'all listening at home, you can get the links there. But do you have anything else you want to plug before we wrap up this episode?
No, I think that I'm good.
We always save Henry for last because he always has a grocery list of things he's got going on. How about you, Jeff? What do you got coming up?
Oh, you're talking to me?
No, I said we save you for last because you always have a grocery list of plugs. I said, Jeff, what do you got coming up?
Oh, me? Nothing I want to talk about right now. I got some stuff in the works, but I just want to throw out there, I'd like to vote that we bring Sarah back on maybe in July when we're a little closer to the anniversary of the Indianapolis, and let her just have an episode on the Indianapolis.
Yeah,
I think that would be really slick. Yeah.
If thinking
that would be fun.
There's your homework assignment. We'll have you prepare 40 minutes on the USS Indianapolis, and we'll come on, we'll intro you, and then we'll just sit back and pull that string and just let you go. And then we'll just pop in every few minutes with a question like, are there any bad movies based on that event? Things like that.
Leave that part out.
Okay, Henry, what do you got coming up, sir?
The only thing I'm going to plug, the show I did with Preston Stewart on War Stories uploaded today.
Yeah, I saw that online.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I take it that went really, really well?
Yeah, it was a good conversation. I did listen to it. I am getting thoroughly sick of the sound of my own voice.
I used to listen to my podcast as a form of air check just from the years I work in radio, but I'm the same way you are. It's like, I just can't do it.
Well, I listened to it because, okay, what do I do that I need to quit doing? And, but it was a good conversation.
Line, but other than that, you're good to go.
Nice guys. What did you say?
I said talk about the thin red line, but other than that, you're good to go.
No, we did not talk about the thin red line.
No, you said what's the thing you need to stop doing? I said talk about the thin red line, but other than that, you're good to go. Well, I think, ladies and gentlemen, I have nothing going on. It's so sad. I'm looking at my disheveled jump boots. My World War II living history season came to an abrupt stop after my event in February because on both of the insoles of my jump boots, because they're like 8 years old, the stitching broke just enough that I think if I get back into them, I'm going to have a complete blowout. And our Red Wing boot repair shop closed down here, so I'm looking at these poor boots. I may be sending them to Texas. I'm sure there's some fine boot repair people out there, but I don't have a lot in the living history realm to talk about this season because unless I do a Marine Corps event, which there aren't very many of them, I can't do any Army impression right now unless I do barefoot. But so it's been a sad, slow living history season for me. But hopefully that'll change next year.
I'll throw this out to you. Real quick. I for here at this museum, I'll be sending you guys some pictures because I've never seen a set of these in person. I just took into the collection yesterday a guy. They were his father's LSO paddles from the USS Corregidor.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about? The landing safety officers bringing the aircraft in on carriers. He was on the Corregidor. He was a trained Navy pilot, but also an LSO. And his son gave me his LSO paddles to put on display here, and a very large official U.S. Navy photo of his dad, and then the LSO standing in front of him with a different set of paddles, but a very clear picture of his dad on the edge of the USS Corregidor, which he said he remembered watching the USS Liscombe Bay go up in flames during Operation Galvanic. And of course, I think the Liscombe Bay is probably most famously known because that's the ship that took Navy Cross recipient Dory Miller down, made famous from what he did at Pearl Harbor. So really interesting artifacts. Like I said, I have never seen LSO paddles before.
That's pretty cool.
I don't think I've ever seen them
I'll be posting some pictures. I'll send to you guys.
The Corregidor, was that like a late war carrier?
Well, I must have been a carrier escort. It's obviously not a fleet carrier, but yeah, I mean, if he was on the Corregidor at Operation Galvanic, that's November '43, so that's pretty much mid war there. But I'm assuming definitely a CVE class, but just something interesting that came in here just the other day. So.
We're talking about getting free T-shirts by signing up for Patreon. You don't have to get a free T-shirt. If you want a sweet-ass T-shirt like the one Jeff wears, or I still love our K-Ration shirts. I think those are the cool ones, too. I got to finish making we have, breakfast and lunch. We don't have the dinner one. But we have a whole plethora of What's the Scuttlebutt podcast T-shirts available on our website. So just go to WTSPWorldWar2.com, and somewhere on there you'll see actually, I think there's a merch link at the top. If not, you'll see an icon of a T-shirt floating around on there somewhere. But yeah, just click on there. When you go to order, use the promo code ILISTEN, all capital letters, all one word, and that'll save you
Wait, there's a promo code?
Not for you, but for our listeners.
Money on this?
Because you don't listen. You have to use the promo code ILISTEN, and clearly you don't.
Jeff, you have the one I have. I had to pay for it too. So.
No, it's not free. It just saves you a few pennies. But use that promo code ILISTEN, and it'll save you like $4, I think. And but yep. And as always, send us an email to mailcall@WTSP. This is really going to make Jeff upset. And maybe we'll send you some free stickers, everybody, but Jeff, because he's been asking for them. Send us an email to mailcall@WTSPWorldWar2.com. And I got to get the Cricut fired up, and because I got to print some stickers off for Jeff and Henry and anybody else who wants them. But send us an email at mailcall@WTSPWorldWar2.com, and just let me know if you want the stenciled logo or what we refer to as the Meatball Lucky Strikes logo, and we will get some sent out to you. But for myself, one Jeff Copsetta, and one, are you all right, Bailey? Bailey's down there snoring in her sleep. Jeff Copsetta, Henry Sledge, and Miss Sarah. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will talk to everybody next week. And same bat channel and same bat time. That's copywritten, so I just got ourselves a cease and desist.